Hey guys, welcome to Smoker Spot Cigar Talk. I thought because I'm smoking a Dunhill, it's the Heritage Series from Honduras. I was sitting here in my favorite lounge, smoking my Dunhill, and I thought, let's talk about Dunhill. As you might know or not, Dunhill was founded way over 100 years ago, 1907, in London by Alfred Dunhill. He opened 1907 his first tobacco store in the Duke Street in London. Quickly, he became a very famous tobacconist, made contracts with Cuban tobacco manufacturers, and were making mainly three lines of cigars that were so renowned and loved by everybody. For example, King George VI and Sir Winston Churchill. Just to name a few. They will continue doing cigars until the Cuban Revolution. But even that couldn't stop Dunhill making cigars. Even after the Cuban Revolution, they made new contracts with the socialist leaders of Cuba back then. They're still socialists. Who cares? And back then, there was one company, Cuban Tobacco, was the monopoly who was leading the way in the Cuban tobacco business. So they were making contracts now with them and continue making cigars. Took them a while until 1981. Shortly after that, in a socialist country, making business with the free market means like 3 years. So in 1984, the first new tobacco brands, Dunhill Cigars, were coming into the market. And they still had these three lines, a couple of others, but they still had these three lines. One of them was Don Alfredo. It was the Dunhill own line, very popular. Then you had the Supreme Selection, all very popular. But for a couple of years they were producing cigars. The biggest problem was, back then you had two competitors in Cuba who were doing cigar business internationally then. There was Davidoff and Dunhill. And I don't want to go into the reasons for now, we can make another cigar talk, but Dunhill was losing. Davidoff was doing much better than Dunhill. And Dunhill was also very, very unhappy how Cuban Tobacco was handling their business. So they decided to end the contract just a couple of years later in 1991. And then, 1991, Dunhill was looking for other locations where they could get in their tobacco. The Canary Islands, the Dominican Republic, and Honduras. They were failing big time. And they were, year from that, they were losing their shares in the market. Until 1999, disastrous year. British American Tobacco bought Dunhill, the cigar section of Dunhill. Dunhill has several other products, not only cigars. They're making tobacco flakes for pipes, they're making pipes, they're doing leather cases, they're doing perfume, they're doing a lot of stuff. Well, we're talking about cigars here. That's why we call it cigar talk and not perfume talk. So, British American Tobacco bought Dunhill together with a couple of other brands in that year. As I said, wasn't a good year for tobacco business. And from that day on, British American Tobacco was running Dunhill and bringing out cigars. Slowly but steady, they were regaining their shares in the market, bringing out new cigars, different marketing strategy. It was working out okay. And that worked for years, until last year. In March or April, if I'm right, all of a sudden, British American Tobacco released a press statement saying they will stop making Dunhill cigars. And frankly, it was a shock. I thought, what? It's like Nike stopped doing sneakers. You would think impossible, but they did it. It was a very short statement, and they were using very nice words, nitty-gritty stuff, itchy-bitchy marketing talk. But the reality, what they were saying was, we have Dunhill Cigars, and we're making money, but we're not making enough money. So we stopped doing it. And like it is with industry giants like British American Tobacco, they couldn't care less about you or me. If you like Dunhill cigars, if I like Dunhill cigars, they don't care. All they see is the Benjamins. So they stopped doing it. And no one will stop them from doing that. Even now, one thing that I can suggest, if you're seeing Dunhill cigars, buy them. If you see a box, buy a box. If you see 2 boxes, buy 2 boxes, because when they're gone, they're gone. What happens now is that all the retailers they're selling everything they have. They still have like 200 boxes of this Dunhill Heritage Torpedo. When they're gone, they're gone. What will happen, I can tell you right now, is in 10 years from now, if you can still find some guy somewhere in the world has still like boxes of Dunhill, and he will sell it for a hilarious price, and you would buy it if you have enough money. Like it is with Cuban Dunhills now, when you can find them. Just the other day, there was an auction with a box of, I think, 20 Dunhill cigars, and it was in an auction. They sold it for like 11,000 euros. 11,000 euros for a box of cigars. Frankly, even if I had 11,000 euros just here in my pocket to buy a couple of cigars that I would smoke in a couple of days, I wouldn't buy it. Different story. So all I want to say is Dunhill will go away. Dunhill will go away, and we can't stop it. If you like Dunhill, and until now you didn't know that they stopped doing cigars, buy Dunhill, because you will regret it when they are gone.